Hello and welcome back to Stories with me, Jesse. And today we're once again sharing the insanity that waiters and baristas deal with every day over at Reddit/talesfromyourserver. Let me know what you think of these stories in the comments, as well as any suggestions you might have that we may just use in a future installment. Don't be rude to your waitress unless you want the cooks to spit in your food, because we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, Customer Locks Themselves in Bathroom. So as a little bit of background, the restaurant I work at isn't in the best area of the city. It's also a local business, so the restaurant is not that big. Usually at busy hours, there's 2 servers, and off hours, there's only 1. This particular evening was quite busy, and both servers had their hands full with all the customers. That is when this lady walks in and goes straight to the bathroom. My coworker noticed this, but decided that the customers were of greater cause. Finally, about 30 minutes to an hour later, the commotion died down and most, if not all, the customers left. That's when my coworkers realized they forgot about the lady who went into the bathroom. I should also note these bathrooms are single rooms and shut only by a door. So Sarah decides to knock on the door and ask how they're doing in there. The lady responds, "Oh yeah, I'm all right." At this point, Sarah doesn't know what to do because the restaurant is closing soon and she's locked herself in the bathroom. So Sarah tells Max this, and Max in turn tells the kitchen. Our kitchen staff only consists of 2 cooks who alternate with 2 other cooks. The chef today was just a small old lady who proceeds to take her broom and knock on the door with it, telling the lady to get out. Eventually she does, and boy is she pissed. She runs into the middle of the restaurant and starts cussing. She says something along the lines of, "You guys are all retards!" She's also screaming and making a scene. Good thing at this point no customers are in the restaurant, and almost immediately she runs out of the restaurant. Max tells Sarah to check the bathroom while they close the till, which is a job only Max can do. To Sarah's horror, she finds a belt on the sink counter, probably for heroin, pills in the drain, and traces of weed in the bathroom. Poor Sarah sanitized that washroom like no tomorrow. I'm not sure if a police report was ever filled out or if they remember her face enough to give one since she ran out. Definitely not something of a fun experience. TLDR, customer locks themselves in bathroom and is forced out by yelling chef. Customer screams and runs out of store. Coworkers find a bunch of drugs inside the bathroom. There's nothing quite like finding evidence of drugs in your place of business. I myself have seen crack pipes and more just fall out of people's pockets, much to their dismay before they look around in a panic and make a run straight out the door. Man, you gotta love people like that. Better leave your drugs in the car next time. Moving on, our next story is called, I Guess I Ruined America Then. This happened before there was even any talk of quarantine, but everyone was still panicking. I was at work at an Italian restaurant and this customer comes in, sweet old lady, with her son and his wife. The regular customer is a chatterbox and sometimes won't shut up. I mean that in the nicest way possible, but she means well. She was talking to me and introduced me to her son and his wife. We were all talking and she started talking about the coronavirus. Her son turns to me and says, "You know, it's not the Italians who ruined your country, it's those Chinese." It was so hard not to scream at him. I calmly said, "Well, I guess I ruined America then. I'm a quarter Chinese." Everyone's face at the table turned red. The regular customer asked, "You are?" I said, "Yes, my mom is half Chinese and my grandma is full Chinese, and they were the ones who raised me." The guy didn't say a word. The regular customer pulled me aside later and apologized for her son. I know it's not her fault. She would never say anything like that. She's close to the owners and a very nice woman, but I much would have rather had her son apologize. Not only can people be so ignorant with what they say, but the guts they have to say it in a public place, like they don't even know mixed people exist, and they could be the hostess you just insulted. Yeesh! I'm sure we've all had our fair share of COVID-19 talk, and the uncertainty this virus is instilling in us is probably bringing the worst parts of us out. But to blame an ethnicity for this pandemic is shallow and unwarranted. Please, keep that kind of hate talk to yourself if you aren't willing to learn tolerance. Our next story is titled, Nothing Wrong with a Customer Who Never Pays. They will take care of you when you least expect it. We offer free coffee with breakfast purchases all weekdays, and we have one guy who comes in every morning and just drinks coffee. He's a regular, and he goes and sits in a back booth, reads the news, and talks to us. Typically, he will have 1 or 2 friends join him, and his daughter will come by too. We never ask him to pay for coffee, as the guests he brings us take great care of us. Since the dine-in shut down, this man has been amazing to us. He comes by when we open and asks us what we want for breakfast. And he even gets enough for the 2 people in the front and our 2 cooks as well, all in exchange for a cup of coffee. That is so sweet that this regular was willing to return the favor for the people who give him a free cup of joe every day. Regulars, paying or not, may just surprise you when you least expect it. Our next story is titled, The Most Uncomfortable You've Ever Been Being Hit On by a Customer/Coworker. Having worked everything from cafes to upscale bars, I've had my share, but the one which stands out the most completely caught me off guard. I was 25 working at a cafe. Our clientele was a mixture of hipsters, uppity suburbanites, and private school kids. Overall, a decent enough crowd minus the college kids. While on one lovely September morning in ideal 60-degree weather, I waited on a table with a sweet older lady and her 2 12-year-old granddaughters. Everyone was polite, but the girls were acting strange. They would giggle and look away when I would ask them what they wanted, and one of them would kind of blush whenever I tried to make eye contact with her. I'm not oblivious to these kinds of things, but I shrugged it off as maybe they were just shy. Or if they were attracted to me, no big deal, because young people hitting puberty is a thing. Service continues on as normally, and they tab out. At this point, I was refilling a coffee carafe, and I felt my hand grab directly behind me. Coffee carafes were located outside of the service area, close to tables, so civilians unfortunately could approach you. I was a bit startled and I turned around to see that one of the young girls had grabbed my hand. Being a mid-20s white guy with a face that screams serial killer is already a disadvantage in life. I certainly would not enjoy the extra attention of a prepubescent girl making moves on me. I quickly turned around and gingerly jerked my hand away, not enough to be rude, but enough to say, "Please don't touch me." I felt a swell of nervousness at the situation. I never had a problem with immediately turning down the advances of the occasional barfly at the bars I had worked at, but trying to nicely and firmly leave the affection of an unknowing child is more difficult. Don't want to be rude, but definitely want to escape this extremely inappropriate situation as soon as possible. As I'm trying to think of what to say, the girl says, "You're cute," to which I replied, "Thank you. I have to get back to work now." She kind of sighed and ran back to her table. I breathed relief because I was certain this was over. About 15 minutes later, the elderly lady came up to me and said, "Well, I guess it's obvious that my granddaughters find you attractive. You could at least told her that you thought she was cute too." And then she left. I was flabbergasted. My only thought was, what the lady? Are you so old that you reminisce about your childhood during the colonial days where creepy as old dudes courted underage women? It was definitely one of the most WTF moments of my life. I would love to hear from my other kitchen comrades for your horror stories now. Whoa now! I'm sure the old lady didn't mean much by it, but it was kind of the cherry on top to make that awkward situation that much stranger. I'm just surprised that the girl physically grabbed you, and that's the creepiest part. There's countless kids out there that fantasize about the people they find attractive, but damn, you don't run up to them and just touch people like that. That's super weird. Our final story is titled, Man from Hell Ruins My Day Because I Refuse to Break the Law. I used to work in an independent champagne cocktail bar that offered afternoon teas available through pre-booking. The bar was Alice in Wonderland themed, so the afternoon teas were made really cute with little sandwiches and cakes dressed up to look like a little garden. Really nice. This was the only food we offered though. We get a booking in for 12 people. It's a 17-year-old girl's birthday celebration, pretty standard for us. But the guests had the option to have their afternoon tea with bottomless Prosecco for about $20 extra per person. So I needed to be careful that the birthday girl didn't have any Prosecco, as it would be against our license. In my country, the legal drinking age is 18, but in restaurants whose licenses allow for it, 16 to 17-year-olds can have one alcoholic drink with a meal. My place, being only a bar and not a restaurant, didn't have that kind of license though, so I made sure the girl didn't get a glass when I served the Prosecco. Her dad takes issue with this. I explain about our license and that if I serve his daughter alcohol, I'd be breaking the law. He asks to see my manager, who I get and says the exact same thing as me. Manager leaves. This guy then necks his glass of Prosecco and goes, "Fill it up again. Make sure it doesn't go empty." I smile and say, "Of course," and top him up. This party is in our function room, which is on the floor above the bar. He tells me to come up every 4 minutes to make sure everyone's glass is full. I go up exactly every 4 minutes for about an hour while they eat. They all get drunk and stomp around, and the middle-aged women are trying to twerk. There's a security camera in the room they're in, which I check to see if they need top-ups, and I just see these old women making complete fools of themselves. Not even funny, just cringy. And one of the women keeps making comments about my ass. Don't know if that's harassment, but made me feel uncomfortable. It's a quiet day, so not many customers other than them, but later on I get 5 walk-ins, I seat them, they already know what they want, so I make their cocktails and serve them. All good. It's only me and my manager on. I check my watch and, oh shit! I'm a minute late to top off the party's glasses upstairs. I grab the Prosecco and rush up. The dad is coming down the stairs to get me. I apologize and say I was just on my way up. He takes me aside and tells me if there aren't 2 bottles of Prosecco on his table in the next minute, he'll give us a bad TripAdvisor review, and that it was ridiculous that the service is this bad for the money he's paying. I've been busting my ass off for about an hour trying my best to make sure they're okay. It took everything I had not to say what was on my mind to this prick. But I say, of course, sir, very sorry, sir, and get him his bottles. At least I don't need to keep refilling this prick's glass and endure his sexually frustrated wife. A few hours later, the whole party comes downstairs for cocktails. They left the function room looking like a bomb had gone off. Sandwiches they didn't like are all over the floor. I'm called over to their tables with a finger snap. Fucking love it when that happens. He orders a round of cocktails, no please, no thank yous. I'm still going, yes sir, of course sir, etc. And the women try and grab me and shit at one point. I bring the drinks, no thank yous, apart from the 17-year-old who thanks me for her mocktail. Another hour and 3 more rounds, and all the adults are wasted and being loud and annoying, and the girl looks miserable. I go over to ask if they want any more drinks, and the dad waves his credit card in my face. Of course, sir. I get the card machine and get a bunch of comments about how overpriced it is. They had 12 bespoke afternoon teas, 8 bottles of Prosecco, and twice as many cocktails. So of course it's gonna be pricey. Plus, what the f*** do you expect me to do about the f***ing price? After he pays, he says to his daughter, "Shame you couldn't have a drink, eh?" I must have been visibly furious because he looks at me and doesn't say anything else. They finally leave. They were there for about 3.5 hours. The only thanks I get is from the girl, who apologizes for her dad. I just nod. I'm on the verge of tears at this point. I'm way past anger. I had a little cry in the back after they left. There's such a noticeable divide between people who've worked in hospitality and people who haven't. You can tell almost instantly. These fuckers, apart from the girl, were all between 40 and 55 and were acting like children. They had no respect for me, my bar, the food that had taken hours to prepare, or for their daughter, whose birthday they were celebrating, who apologizes to me for her parents' behavior. I've never been so disrespected in my life, disrespected to the point of tears. I feel so awful for that poor server, and believe me, I've had my days of drinking and having a good time at the bar, but I've always maintained enough composure to respect the staff that was serving me. There's no reason to be so rude, and combining that natural tendency along with copious amounts of alcohol is guaranteed to be a disaster. Kings have been poisoned by their cooks in the past, likely as the result of their tyranny. So in short, respect your damn server and empathize that they are human beings, okay? Anyways, that's about all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for tuning in with me, Jesse. What did you think of these stories? Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and check out what other stories I have for you. I hope each and every one of you has something to be thankful for. I sure do. And that's you guys. Honestly. I'll catch you in the next one.